Good day, everyone. This is Evelyn Ackah from the Ask Canada Immigration Lawyer podcast. I want to wish you all a happy new year. This is my first podcast of 2024, and I'd like to welcome my friend Sean Murphy to join us. He is here. He works with BMO, and his focus is helping Canadians who are doing business and banking and buying property in the United States. Welcome, Sean.
Well, hi, Evelyn. Nice to see you. Happy New Year. Thank you so much for having me. This is exciting.
Well, I'm so happy that you were able to join us because you work for a Canadian bank in the United States.
How
And
about that?
I was like, we got to talk. So tell me about what you do and tell me about how that happened and what you focus on.
Thank you. So let's see. A year ago, the I had signed on with Bank of the West. Bank of the West is a regional bank here in the San Francisco Bay Area, west region of the country, knowing that they were going to be sold in 2023 to BMO.
Mm.
And myself in, the United States, what's BMO? I, and I get that every day now
I'm
that
sure.
I'm working for BMO. What is a BMO? So it's like BMO. No, it's Bank of Montreal. So what happened ultimately is that BNP Paribas, the French bank, owned Bank of the West. They wanted out. BMO wanted to expand into the lower 48. They already have BMO Harris Bank in
Yeah.
the Midwest, and now they're looking to expand and grow. Having bought Bank of the West, I had to learn Bank of the West software systems and then transferred over to learn BMO systems. But I'm now excited and happy to be a BMO representative in mortgage banking in the lower 48.
Excellent. So you focus on Canadians, is it, or just all people looking to buy property in the United States?
Yeah, we as a lender, we are a nationwide residential mortgage lender. I'll say we do all range of services as banking, okay, but my focus is mortgage lending, owner occupied to 4 unit properties anywhere in the 50 US states.
Oh.
So that's my focus. We do commercial lending, we do wealth advising, we do all the banking services. It's just exciting because in this unique market that we've had the last year, BMO's looking to grow, where a lot of big banks are looking to pull back.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it must be harder, especially if you're a Canadian and let's say you want to buy a place in Palm Springs or something. And must be very difficult to get the financing you need because maybe you're not a green card holder, or maybe like how do you help Canadians when they're looking to get a mortgage that might be different than if they were in Canada trying to get a mortgage?
Yeah, no, thank you for asking. What happens is that BMO US has a gateway program.
Mhm.
It's purely, for those who are Canadian citizens that want to purchase in the United States. Traditionally, you would be considered a foreign national, and there would be specific guidelines that you would have to meet, which realistically is going to be a higher down payment and a higher interest rate, and a lot more, handcuffs in terms of allowing you to buy property. We as BMO have a conversion program where we allow the opportunity for Canadian citizens to buy with much, better interest rates, much better terms to them for considering that option.
Oh, that's so good. That is really important. And how about snowbirds? Do you deal with them too? Like when they're coming down and they might want to buy or just
Yep.
but they don't live there all the time. How does that work?
Yeah, so good question. I'd say that this program is available for a primary residence, second home, or investment property.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those snowbirds who do want to move to the US, yes, we can allow as a second home the opportunity to purchase.
Okay. That's really good to know.
Yep.
Um, the reason that I was really interested to talk to you when we first met, through our professional network was that one, you're working for a Canadian bank. Obviously, I'm in Canada. I know BMO very well. But as ACA Business Immigration Law, we do have a lot of clients who do business and buy properties in the US. And it is a challenge. Even if they're established and successful in Canada, you're almost starting all over again with your credit rating and everything when you move to the States. So in addition to mortgages, and helping with the financing, what else can you think about that would benefit Canadians, like opening bank accounts? Do you find that those are also challenging for them?
So, I mean, with the 206-year legacy, of BMO, that they are very open to the continued business, helping of Canadian citizens in the US. Opening up an account should be no issue.
Yeah.
I have to be careful in terms of exactly all the product services just because I'm on my little silo in
Yeah.
mortgage banking.
Got
But I know that they're encouraging. In fact, in order to do the Gateway program, we need to have a banking relationship. So we set up a checking account, set up any kind of, account, CD, money market, whatever it is,
it.
that we'll need that in order to set up the Gateway program.
Okay.
Okay.
So give me a sense, Sean, like I come to the States, I want to buy something in California. How long generally would that process take to be vetted, to do all the things that the banks do, so that I have a better understanding of like the lead time? So if a client says, you know what, we want to move to the States and we want to buy something in 2 months, like is that a realistic time frame for them
It
to get?
was
Yeah.
just going to answer your question, 60 days.
Oh, I didn't know that. I just guessed. Okay.
Good guess.
Thank you.
Um, so we have, the Canadian documents versus the US documents, and we would have that list.
Mhm.
From my understanding, you have your T4
Yeah.
statement of your remuneration. We call that a W-2 in the US,
Yes.
right? You have the income tax and benefit return and notice of assessment. That's our 1040 US tax return. So
Okay.
we have that initial knowledge of, okay, you're going to need these statements to provide, and we're going to need to, convert them over to US dollars,
Yeah.
but we will do all that for you.
Okay. So about 60 days. I think that's very, very good. That's very fast, actually. And so when you talked about the, preferred mortgage rates versus what they normally Canadian would get coming down, obviously, depends on the person's credit history, etc. But are you seeing that you guys stand out as a bank from maybe some of the other banks that make it harder for Canadians to get mortgages?
I have to, wonder is that there are a lot of different lenders out there
Yeah.
and they offer a lot of different programs. I can't keep track. I've got enough numbers in my head to be able to know
Yeah.
what everyone's offering. Um, but I was doing a little bit of pricing beforehand and say, if I wanted to have a Canadian citizen participate in the Gateway program, and we were to look at locking in an interest rate today,
Yeah.
and of course that's going to change tomorrow, but it's something that if you do 80% financing to $1.5 million purchase price with $1.2 million loan amount, and it's going to be an owner occupied property, and I'm a Canadian citizen, I think
Mhm.
we were looking at around a 7% interest rate.
Okay. All right.
Okay, without paying any points, with a great, good credit score,
Yeah.
and they can always buy points to buy the rate down. They could do
Yeah.
an adjustable rate mortgage. They have the whole wide cadre of products available, to serve them.
Well, this is really interesting. I mean, really happy to hear this because I hear a lot when people come to Canada, they're starting all over again too. Americans come in, it's like they have no credit and it starts from nothing. And
Yeah.
that is very frustrating when you've been established somewhere else. So I think for Canadians going to the US to know that they have the ability to have some more support so that they're not feeling like they're starting completely over. The other thing I know you do, Sean, is you work with businesses like physicians loans and construction. Tell me about that aspect of your role at BMO.
Bank of Montreal offers some specific loan programs that they see are good risks. They're good that they know. The physician loan is designed for doctors, and which are MDs,
Yeah.
by the way, not PhDs.
Yes, I got it.
And then DDS, of
Yes.
course, your dentist.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're specific in that regards. And then what they do is they're encouraging newer dentists, newer doctors to say, I've gotten out of medical school. I've done all my internships. I'm ready to get started in my career. And
Mhm.
yet I want to buy a home, get settled in the community I want to serve for the next 30 years. Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so this is a program that allows them, knowing we already know ahead of time that in many cases they've got probably a decent amount of student debt that
Of
we got to
course.
factor in. And so
Yeah.
we give them a lower down payment option without paying mortgage insurance, enabling them to say, hey, I can qualify for a good solid interest rate and getting me into the house moving
Okay.
forward.
That's great. So what are you seeing right now in the market? I mean, focusing on mortgages in your wheelhouse, are you seeing with all the changes? I mean, you're not giving, I know, financial advice, but just what are you seeing? Are people more hesitant? The interest rates are going up? Are people just jumping in? Like, where's your just on the ground kind of feel of things?
I like that softball. Thank you. I think that what we're seeing is that the interest rate market last year with inflation just shot through the roof, 30-year highs. It just hadn't seen these numbers in a long time. And so many people who were like, what got whiplash with that,
Yeah, yeah.
pandemic, 2, 3% interest rate, 8%. What?
Wow.
Um, so those rates have come down since November, December. It was October has really peaked this last year, and they've come down. And so, obviously, as you can imagine, a U.S. citizen with U.S. credit getting a U.S. mortgage,
Hmm.
they're in the sixes again.
Yeah.
Okay, and so that's pretty solid. And so, my conversation with those who I've been talking about pre-approval, getting them prepared, ready to go, no reason to wait. Get in now, get
Yeah.
pre-approved, know what you can afford so that you can jump and get in when you see a property you like.
Exactly. Yeah, you want to get ready because time, especially in California, if that's where they're heading, you know. So you
Right.
do mortgages for like all 50 states. So people, okay, because a lot of our clients want to move to Arizona, move to
Yep.
Texas, move to California, move to Florida. That's,
Yep.
obviously they're looking for the heat after the minus 40 degrees Celsius we've been having lately.
Oh,
Yeah. So that's wonderful to know that you're like across the country and similar to immigration. It's not like you're just only do California.
correct.
That's very
Correct.
good. Okay.
Yeah, and I think one thing, Evelyn, just
Yeah.
to add on to the point was that your the feeling is okay, rates are coming down, inflation's getting tamed with what the Fed is doing in the US.
Yeah.
And I'm going to time the market. I'm going to be smarter than the market and I'm going to wait. And I'm going to hesitate. I'm going to tell those who will look to hesitate that way, you can do whatever you want,
Of
Mr. and
course.
Mrs. Borrower. But please note that every 1% drop in interest rate, the affordability index increases 5 million more home buyers that can now afford to buy. So
Exactly.
what do you think is going to happen here? Those people are going to jump in and they think they're going to time it just like you are.
Anybody else?
What happens to the prices of homes?
Yeah. They just go up. They go
Go
up.
right back up.
Yeah.
So get in now while you can. If the rate's in the six or low sevens, just because you're like, wait, can always refinance down the road.
Hmm. Yeah, we were all so used to, I mean, I remember when my parents they bought our first house and the second house and interest rates went up to like in the 80s. Remember that?
Oh
Like
yeah.
crazy, 24 whatever percent. I
Wow.
mean, and then we are so used to seeing it so low. So I think everybody in North America, especially, is just kind of like, what's happening to interest rates? But it's like we were so comfortable at 1%, 2%, whatever the heck it was, that wasn't realistic, or that wasn't sustainable.
Yeah.
And so I do think it's just reasonable. We're not at the 25% level. But I feel like people need to recognize it's an investment. It's not something that you just kind of buy and flip. Hopefully, it's something that you hold on to and gain that equity over time. I think
Yep.
that's the plan for a lot of families, right?
in the life that you want to lead. I mean, with the memories you create and
Mm.
the lifestyle that you have, it's, a combination of all those factors.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think a home and all of that, having someone support you through that. So in addition, Sean, like if somebody wants to purchase and they want to be connected to you and they want to get through the pre-approval, do you also at BMO make recommendations for like, I don't know what else they need, accountants, realtors, like do you have that network that if they didn't have, you would be able to offer?
Absolutely. I am well involved with a business networking group. That's
Yeah.
how you and I connected.
Yeah.
9,000 members strong throughout the United States,
Yeah.
and they're all seasoned veterans in their respective lines of work.
Mhm.
So, all levels of the legal field, financial, real estate, all those business experts that you need to connect with to help those different elements in your life. We have great connections to share.
That's good.
Be
That
happy to
really
do
makes
it.
a difference because otherwise you come in and you're feeling like, you don't know what you're doing, you're in a whole nother city and it's a big transition. So I
Yep.
think this gateway program sounds really, really interesting. I wonder if BMO in Canada has the equivalent for Americans. Do you know if they do?
I've been told I cannot originate a loan in Canada.
No, I know.
Yeah, so I don't, whether the Canadian mortgage bankers do loans on the gateway for the reciprocal,
Mhm.
uh, I could ask and follow up with you to
Okay.
share in a future
I think
update.
it's interesting. Like, I think it
Yeah.
would be interesting because I know it's hard as well for Americans coming to Canada.
Yep.
They're starting all over. They have higher expectations of interest rates and deposits and all of that. So it's very similar for sure. So
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see if there's some NAFTA cross-border elements that we can highlight.
I
Um,
would take that as a takeaway. You know what I mean?
okay,
And I'll follow up with
yeah,
you on that,
I think
Evelyn.
that would be really good. Can I get a sense from you of what are like the just average, the closing costs that people would need to think about as well? Because everything adds up, right? So I don't know if there's there a percentage amount or does it vary from which city you're in, which property you're buying?
Yeah, I think yes, yes, and yes.
Okay.
Because every situation's unique
Yeah,
to the town, the community, the state, the county that that you're buying in.
yeah,
I know for a fact I've done loans in the state of New York, and they have a mortgage tax,
yeah.
and that mortgage tax can be 2% of the loan amount.
Wow.
So just the simple fact of borrowing $1 million to buy a $1.25 million home,
Mhm.
you're paying $20,000 in mortgage tax,
Tax. Okay.
right? Here in California, we don't have a mortgage tax.
Okay.
Florida has an intangible tax. So there are different states that have different, but so the generic answer is that you have title, escrow, appraisal, lender fees, recording fees.
Mhm.
Those are entities involved helping someone get a mortgage. Um, and I'm not counting for points. I'm not counting for homeowners
Yeah.
insurance. These things that you all take into account. If you're buying 1.5 and the loan amount is 1.2, I'm gonna say this 1.2
Yeah.
million, 1.5 million, you're probably looking in the 10 to 12,000 range,
Yeah, that
something
makes
like
sense.
that.
That makes sense. I mean,
Yeah.
you're working with professionals, you want to make sure it's being done right. That
Yep.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. And so, Mr. Borrower, Mrs. Borrower, you can pay points to buy down your rate.
Hmm.
You can, do different things. You're going to have to pay your year of homeowners insurance up front. You're
Yeah.
going to have prepaid interest. That's what we do, right? And explaining
Okay.
all that to them, educating them so that there's no surprises.
That's really, really good. So, Sean, as we get close to our wrap up, I want you to tell me exactly who are your ideal clients, referral sources, and where can they find you? We will be sharing your information when this podcast goes live, but really to be very focused on what you do, who you want, and how they can find you.
That's super nice of you to ask. Thank you very much. For me, I love working with the first time home buyers because they come in wide ranges of individuals, young, 25, 30 years, people, professionals that are looking to grow and have a family and develop, their future life together. I
Mhm.
love the ability to educate them. I love to be able to tell them what you need to plan for because I was there at one point,
Yep.
and it sure felt good to have someone walk me through that. You know, one thing I learned is like you're smart at what you do. You know immigration law backwards and forwards, and I do mortgages backwards and forwards, right?
Yep.
But I'm not a tech expert, and I'm not a medical professional.
Neither
So
am
it's like,
I.
yeah, and so it's like, hey, I got you. I know how this works, and I want to make sure to take care of you, help you make good decisions for you and your family. So those first time home buyers are wonderful people, and you know what? They're going to upgrade to the next home. They're going
Exactly.
to buy an investment property. They're going to get a second home. There's a long-term relationship opportunity there. So that's why I like
Mhm.
working with those that class of buyers.
Yeah.
You know, I'm based in all 50 states. My legacy starts in the San Francisco Bay Area, but I know people all over the country.
Hmm.
So that's, a focus of anyone in San Francisco Bay Area that wants to buy here. I know the whole area and I can help you direct you and, even be a tour guide for you.
I'm looking forward to that next time I come to San Francisco.
Yeah.
I really appreciate this. I think you're right. I mean, you and I operate similarly. It's the relationships and it's long term. So, when you help that new family get their first home, of course they're going to go back to Sean because they got the service and they got the support, and that extra added value is so important. You don't want to
Yep.
start over with somebody that doesn't know you.
Yep.
And then of course you might be in a better financial situation that further down to upgrade. And so I think it makes sense that, you are the relationship guy. And I just really want to thank you for joining us today and
Yeah.
allowing us to learn more about the Gateway program and BMO in the United States and mortgages across the country. I'm
Yeah.
hoping that our listeners, they will get all your information, but I'm hoping that anybody that's interested to move to the States for business, for pleasure, for investment, would be open to contacting you so that you can talk to them about what you do and learn more. Thank you so much, Sean.
This has been awesome, Evelyn. I really appreciate your time and great to meet everybody. I'm look forward to helping them.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Okay.
Thanks.